Today, I'm going to show you where the most dangerous counties are in the United States. Counties seem to be a little more important to most of you than I had thought. Not sure why, that's just me. I also don't use dryer sheets. I think it was Winston Churchill that said, "You can never trust the word of a dictator or the nobility of a man that doesn't use dryer sheets." I guess interest in counties comes into play when there's a city you want to live near, but not in. Anyway, I've had a lot of requests for videos about where the most dangerous counties in the US are. Luckily for us, the FBI keeps track of that type of stuff. We're gonna look at how much higher the violent crime rate of these counties is compared to the national average. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, the District of Columbia. Yes, the nation's capital is a great place to be if you've taken up violent crime as a hobby. They do a good job of keeping the touristy areas kind of clean and kind of nice, but you get outside of that area, it gets pretty scary in a lot of different parts of Washington, D.C. More than once over the decades, it has shown up as the murder capital of the country. It's not doing as bad as it has in past decades. They're doing kind of good right now. Not good as in they're a nice, wonderful place to live. Good compared to how they've been in past decades. The District of Columbia is like a few other cities in the United States, where they're a city and they're a county in itself. San Francisco is one of those. Violent crime rate in the District of Columbia is 147% above the national average. Number 9, Marlboro County, South Carolina. Marlboro County is one of the few counties on this list that their numbers aren't being drugged down by a major city that's just a nightmare. This whole county just kind of sucks when it comes to violent crime. When you look at their normal crime like property crime and things like that, they're not doing great there either, but their violent crime rate is a lot higher than it needs to be. They don't have any major cities in here, Bennettsville being the largest, and that only has about 9,000 residents. If you're looking for Marlboro County on the map, it is right there in that armpit looking thing of the North Carolina border. It's halfway between Columbia, South Carolina and Fayetteville, North Carolina, a little closer to Fayetteville, right there on the North Carolina border. It's south and it's kind of west of North Carolina. But if you're looking to get beat up or shot on a country road, this is a great place to live. Marlboro County has a violent crime rate that is 209% above the national average. Number 8, Bernalillo County, New Mexico. Have you ever heard of Bernalillo County? Me either, but we've all heard of what's in it. Albuquerque. You know, that lump of coal in the land of enchantment. You know, these days I feel bad when I have any bad stats to say about New Mexico or especially the Albuquerque area. I met some really nice people when I went to San Antonio and they're from there and I feel bad every time I want to call them and go, hey, it's just the numbers, it's not you. Albuquerque takes up most of Bernalillo County, so it drags the numbers down for the rest of the county. The violent crime rate in Albuquerque is 246% above the national average. In Bernalillo County, it is 216% above the national average. So if you take Albuquerque out of the equation, it's a really nice place to live. I mean, the crime rate for the rest of the county brings it down almost 30%. That's not bad. I did a video about Albuquerque some years back, like 3 or 4 years ago, and it hasn't got much better. It got so bad that the local news did a segment on my video. What's funny is they went out to talk to people on the street and ask them about the video and things like that, and pretty much all of them agreed with me. A few of them took that standard thing, you know, where they're going, well, you know, instead of talking bad about it, why don't you come up with solutions? That's not my job. Number 7, Newcastle, Delaware. Newcastle is another place that would probably be pretty good if it wasn't for one thing. It has Wilmington, Delaware within its borders. Wilmington, Delaware, in case you don't know, is a bit of a nightmare. As an example, the violent crime rate in Wilmington, Delaware is 320% above the national average. When you figure in the rest of Newcastle, it brings it down to 270% above the national average. Honestly, I think it's like 80% of the population of Newcastle, Delaware lives in Wilmington. It's too bad, too. Wilmington, you know, you go there and you see it. It's been a few years since I've been there, probably about 6. And when you look at the town, you're all, this city has so much potential. It's like a really historic, and you could see the beauty in it. It's just, you know, out in some of the residential areas, it is a frickin' war zone. So it's just too bad. Like I said, though, the violent crime rate in Newcastle, Delaware is 270% above the national average. Number 6, Jefferson County, Arkansas. If you were to float your way down the Arkansas River from Little Rock, you'd eventually run into Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And that would be the root of all the problems that are in Jefferson County. The one thing I really like about Pine Bluff, they have a lot of old churches and old schools with really cool architecture. Speaking of schools in Pine Bluff and all of Jefferson County, I talked to a guy from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I met him on an Amtrak train, and he said he grew up in Pine Bluff many, many years ago. I'm thinking it was the 1950s or 60s. And he said it was a really nice place to live, and they had a lot of farming things in the school system. So he learned a lot about farming while going to school in Pine Bluff. He said these days they probably offer things like how to file a serial number down on a firearm. But again, in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, the violent crime rate is 372% above the national average. But the entire county, Jefferson County, it's 291% above the national average. So obviously, Pine Bluff is dragging them down quite a bit. Number 5, Rapides Parish, Louisiana. You ever heard of it? Not many people have, but it's got Alexandria, Louisiana inside it. Rapides Parish and Alexandria have the Red River flowing right through the middle of both of them. Now, Alexandria is the thing that really kills the stats on this place, but some of their smaller towns around the county aren't helping out much. The violent crime rate in Alexandria is 377% above the national average, and Rapides Parish, it's 327% above the national average. It's getting kind of high, getting kind of scary. Number 4, St. Louis, Missouri. St. Louis is another one of those places that's a city and it's a county all at the same time. And they got some crime, and we're not even including East St. Louis, which is actually in Illinois, right across the river though. That one, oddly enough, has a very high crime rate, but East St. Louis, the county that it's in, has some really nice places too, so their crime rate isn't that bad. East St. Louis as a city is horrible. But back to St. Louis, Missouri. They've had crime issues since forever. And matter of fact, I did a video discussing some of the worst neighborhoods they had when it came to violence. One of them is an area that's kind of being built back up, but it has a lot of bars. So they had a lot of violent crime that was alcohol related, really not any murders or anything like that. I don't know how many times I explained to the people that kept emailing me, whatever, I'm just going by the stats the FBI gave. Anyway, St. Louis, like all major cities, has some nice parts and it has some scary parts. Those parts for them are just a little scarier than they probably should be. And their crime rate shows it. St. Louis, Missouri has a violent crime rate that's 410% above the national average. Yeah, like I said, getting scary. Number 3, Wayne County, Michigan. Wayne County, Michigan has a giant anchor around its neck called Detroit. It is not healthy to live in Detroit. Maybe there's a few parts, downtown's turning it around like I've said before, a little bit, but it's still a pretty scary place to live, and their crime rate is horrible. Their violent crime rate is shameful. Everybody knows Detroit has had some struggles over the last handful of decades, and it might be getting a little better here and there, but they've got such a long way to go. They're just gonna probably suck for most of our lives. If you happen to be 3 years old watching this, they might turn it around by the time you're 75. Wayne County, Michigan has a violent crime rate that is 422% above the national average. Now stick around for the last two, it gets a little entertaining. Number 2. Shelby County, Tennessee. Shelby County is the westernmost county in Tennessee. As of the 2020 census, the population was around 929,000 people. That's a lot of people. That's the largest of the 95 counties in Tennessee, both in terms of population and geographic area. This county has the city equivalent of cement shoes, just bringing them down. That city is Memphis, Tennessee, one of the worst places to live these days in the United States. This is another city that is in really bad shape. For a very long time, Memphis, Tennessee has been a terribly dangerous place to live. And for some reason, people email me and tell me it's not that bad. It's like, okay, fix your stats and we'll talk. I explained to one guy I got these stats from the FBI. He's all, oh, you're going to believe the FBI over some clown off the internet that just left a comment? Absolutely. Memphis has a violent crime rate that is 506% above the national average. Now, their overall crime rate, it's bad, but it's not nearly as bad as that. It's almost half. It's 237% above the national average. So they really excel in violent crime here. The county helps drop that down a little bit because their violent crime rate in Shelby County is 489% above the national average. Still horrible, but better than actually in Memphis. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There is a link below. We'd love it if you went over there, click on some videos, watch them to the end, maybe watch a video that's suggested at the end of the video. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Clinton County, Arkansas. Yes, right across the river from Memphis. You'll find West Memphis in Clinton County. Bad news for Arkansas, that crime rates, I guess, swim because right across the Mississippi River is Memphis. That, I'm sure, is helping drive up the crime in Clinton County. I know this is going to be hard to believe, but West Memphis, Arkansas has a violent crime rate that's actually higher than Memphis, Tennessee's. Memphis, Tennessee has the violent crime rate, like we said, that is 506% above the national average. And the smaller Memphis, called West Memphis, has a violent crime rate that is 547% above the national average. It's like they're trying to win something by having the highest violent crime rate. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys liked it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, don't get involved in violent crimes, and be nice to each other.